Almost here. There we go. There we go. We are live on all the platforms. So we're going to be getting into the show in a couple of minutes here. If you are just tuning in right now, skip forward to about the 2.5 minute mark. And that's when we're going to be starting the podcast. But before then, I just wanted to give you all a brief overview of who it is we're looking for on the show, what the show is all about, and who to make sure you are sharing this show with to make sure they get the maximum value that we can possibly deliver. So if you've tuned into the show before, you know the deal with this show, what we are all about here. We are all about helping athletes reach the next level of themselves, helping athletes build better versions of themselves. And so who we are looking for on the show are athletes that are looking to make a career in their sport, athletes who are looking to reach new levels in their sport. That is who we're looking for here. So as you tune in, make sure to tag a friend in the comments, tag a friend to share the show with them. As you tune in, tag one person in the comments to let them know that you're here. Let them know that they should be tuning into the show as well. We're going to get going in about 30 seconds, so make sure you are tagging someone as you tune in. Share the wealth, share the knowledge, make sure that you are able to deliver this message to more people. Because the goal of the show, what we are trying to do, we are trying to help athletes reach new levels of themselves. We are trying to impact athletes around the world with a message of what they can do outside of the sport in order to reach the best possible version of themselves. So we're going to get into the show now here in 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Elite Development Podcast, the #1 show for athletes looking to gain an edge on their opponent and build their dream careers in sport. I'm your host, Kenny Dusseault, and today we are going to be talking about why you fall off track. So as I go through this, let me know if this resonates with you. Something I see so often is I see an athlete start up training and they're super motivated, super inspired, and super excited to get to work. You know, they want to show up every single day. They always want more to do. They always want to be doing everything they can to continually reach for higher levels, continually reach for more success, for higher heights, for everything and anything that is within their grasp. This goes on for a little while. They show up every day. They work super hard. They're always looking for the next step, the next thing to do, more that they can start adding to the training that they're doing already. And then they hit a bump. They hit a bump in the road. This could be a loss. This could be an injury. This could be any number of things that happen to them that prevent them from continuing on that same path that they've been on, that same path that they've been working towards. And in most cases, you would think someone hits a bump, well, they just get back up and they keep going. But the problem here is that so often when these athletes hit this bump, they don't know how to handle it. You know, so they hit that bump, let's call it an injury, and that throws them far off track. They stop training for a while. And as they're getting back into training, they don't really have that same fire. They don't really have that same inspiration as they had before. And as a result, they never really get back on track, or it takes them months and months and months of work in order to get anywhere close to where they were before. So if that resonates with you, if you're here right now, drop a comment if that's ever happened to you before. I know it happened to me when I was powerlifting. That was a huge struggle. You know, I'd be doing really well, and then whenever I'd injured, that would really throw me off. But in my time coaching and in my time as an athlete, this really got me thinking, how can someone go from so motivated, so inspired, so dedicated to falling clean off track that quickly? How can that happen? And so I see a couple of people already saying that this resonates with them. And so if that resonates with you, if you've had that happen to yourself, or if you've seen that happen to a teammate, one of the main reasons I've come to in my time coaching why this happens to athletes is plain and simple. It's a lack of vision, because, you know, they're working super hard. They're super motivated. They've got all these good things going for them. And then because they don't have that clear picture of what they're working for, they don't have that clear picture of what they're training for. When they fall off track, now all of a sudden, man, it's easy not having to get up early in the morning and go train every day. Man, it's easy not having to stick to a meal plan. Man, it's easy, just kind of kicking back and letting life happen to you instead of trying to make something happen for yourself. Does that resonate with you? If you're here right now, do you feel like you've ever fallen back into that comfort zone after falling off of track training? I know I have for sure, and I know other people have as well. And today we're going to talk about how you can make sure that doesn't happen to you again, how you can make sure that you stay on track next time you struggle, and you can make sure to push past that and in turn continue to see the success that you're looking for in your sport. I see more and more people commenting on the stream saying that they've felt this happen to them, saying that they've struggled with these same issues. And just know, first of all, you are not alone if this has happened to you before. And we're going to get into how we can make sure that this doesn't happen to you again. So the number one thing that I see that stops athletes from getting back on track, first of all, is self-belief. So, if you've hit that bump in the road, if it's an injury, if it's a loss, anything else that's happened to you, a lot of the time, whether it's conscious or not, it's self-belief. Because athletes might talk a big game. Athletes might be sitting here saying, no, I see myself making it to the top, all of that. But truly look internally. For myself as a powerlifter, when I was competing as an athlete, I know that was a big struggle. I would always talk a big game. I'm going to do this. I'm going to lift that. I'm going to break this record or that record. But it was a very different story in how I actually felt about myself. When I really looked deep and when I reflected on it later, I realized that I was talking a big game. I was saying the right things, but I wasn't backing that up with how I was training. I wasn't backing that up with how I was acting. And so one of the main things that I see with athletes when they fall off track like this is that they didn't truly see themselves as that person they were saying they were. And so as a result, when they fall off track, it's hard to get back on track. And how can we work on this? How can we make sure that the next time you fall off track, you actually see yourself reaching those heights? You see yourself becoming that UFC champion, becoming that national champion, becoming that professional, making that money in your sport. And if you can actually see yourself that way, you can get yourself back on track because you have a clearer picture of what you are actually training for. So how do we see ourselves as that person? How do we make that mental shift? So the first thing that's going to help you make that mental shift is going to be actually spending time working on your mindset. If you're here right now, how many of you actually spend concentrated time every day working on your mindset? Drop it in a comment. If you do, drop a comment. Tell me, yes, I spend time working on my mindset every day. And then tell me how much time you're spending. Is it a quick 5-minute meditation routine? Is it a really actually long, concentrated part of your day? For myself, it's a 10-minute meditation routine every morning. That's a nice balance just because, again, I've gotten to a pretty good place with it. But being able to do that every day just reinforces it, helps me see myself as that person that I know I want to become, and in turn helps me pushing forward even on the days that I don't feel like it. So being able to work on your mindset every day is going to put you in a better headspace and in turn help keep you on a good path when things get more difficult. One of the ways that I do this is a simple meditation routine that I follow on YouTube. So that if you are struggling with mindset, my first tip would be go to YouTube, search mindset routines, self-belief mindset routines, or athlete self-belief mindset routines, any combination of words on YouTube, you'll find one that works well for you. The second thing that helps a lot when it comes to developing self-belief is your environment. And what I mean when I say this is a lot of people, when I see athletes struggle, a lot of people are dealing with a tough environment at home, whether that's parents that don't believe in their goals, a girlfriend or boyfriend that doesn't believe in those goals, friends that are trying to pull you back into old habits that aren't conducive to achieving the success you're looking for. Whatever that might be for you, if you are in a negative environment every day, if you are in an environment that you're not setting yourself up to succeed, as difficult as it might be, because sometimes, like I mentioned, these are friends, these are family, These are significant others. And if you are in a negative environment every day, it's going to be easier and easier and easier to fall off track and to stay off track when you fall off. And a lot of the time when a parent or a friend are, pulling you out of momentum, pulling you out of the success you're working towards, it's not intentional. This isn't something to necessarily hold against them, but it's just to understand that they don't understand you. And if they don't understand you, they might not be the friends that you want to spend all your time around. And it's hard to see that sometimes, and it's even harder to act on that sometimes. Now, how do we fix that environment? So the number one thing is, if you have friends that you are constantly feeling like you have to justify your goals for, or you constantly feel like you have to, push yourself away from, and constantly feel like you're, being made fun of or whatever it might be, because you're trying to pursue the things you're trying to pursue, you either need to cut those friends off entirely, or you need to be more conscious of the time that you spend with them. So sometimes these are longtime friends that you've had since childhood. I'm not saying cut them out entirely, or sometimes this is family. I'm not saying cut family out entirely, but be conscious of the time you spend with them. Be conscious of the time you spend talking to them, and be conscious of what you talk to them about. If you're talking to friends and family about your goals for the future, and you're being met with cynicism, or you're being met with, sarcastic comments, or you're being met with basically anything other than support, stop talking to them about those goals. Stop talking to them about those goals. Understand that they don't understand you, and this isn't their journey to understand. This is your journey to understand. And simply by doing that, simply by protecting your mental energy in that way, you're going to set yourself up for better success in the future. Now, the second thing, when I see athletes fall off track and not be able to get back on track, or when I see athletes fall off track and struggle to get back on track, the second thing I see is a lack of vision. Now, when I say lack of vision, what do I mean? Because everybody who's training for anything has some idea of what they want to achieve. They want to, whether it's as simple as I want to win my next fight, or whether it's as complex as I want to be the best fighter to ever walk the earth. Everybody has some idea of what they're trying to achieve. So when I say lack of vision, what am I talking about? So the first thing that I'm talking about is that either you don't have an actual clear vision. So what I mean when I say that is, I speak to so many athletes that, their first instinct when I say, what is your goal for your sport? They say, I want to take it as far as I can. Now, what does that look like? When you say, I want to take my sport as far as I can, what does that look like? Where are you competing? How much money are you making? How long are you competing? How famous are you trying to get? How much money are you trying to make? Like, there are so many questions that you need to ask yourself when you say, I want to take my sport as far as I can. What does that actually look like? So that you could be in that place where when you say, I want to take my sport as far as I can, you don't actually know what that means. So my challenge for you, if you're in that place right now, is put some facts behind that. When you say, I want to take my sport as far as I can, what are you actually saying? Where do you want to compete? How much money do you want to make? Knowing these things and having clarity on these things is only going to help you push harder for that future you're looking for. Or maybe you do have a clear idea of that side of the vision. You have a clear idea of how far you're trying to make it. You have a clear idea of how much money you're trying to make, things that you want in your future, anything like that. And if you do, then maybe the next part of that vision that you might not have clear is why. Why is this an important goal to you? Why is this vision important for you to achieve? Why do you want to be that person and not be the person that is working some random 9-to-5 somewhere? Not be the person that, doesn't get that far in their sport. Why is this an important goal for you to achieve? Why is this success going to make your life better? Why is this success going to be important for your future family? Because if you have clarity on that, and I'll give you an example. So the example is myself as a coach. So one of my main goals in my coaching career is to positively impact the lives and careers of millions of athletes around the world. And the reason that I want to do that is because when I was coming up competing as a powerlifter, I didn't have that guidance. I had some people that taught me, how to squat properly. I had some people that showed me some programs and things like that. But I didn't have that guidance of how to train smart, how to actually be intelligent with the work I was putting in, instead of letting my ego drive my training and in turn drive me straight into injury. So if you're an athlete right now, my goal is to help you understand what you're actually training for, help you understand how to do it the right way instead of how to just push yourself the hardest. Because despite what some of you have commented on TikTok videos, the person who works the hardest doesn't necessarily win. It's the person who works the hardest at the right stuff. And that was something I was missing when I was an athlete. And it is my mission to help athletes everywhere understand that and not have to go through the same pain, agony, and injury that I had to go through when I was competing. And in turn, be actually able to achieve the goals that you have for your own careers. So why is this an important goal for me? This is an important goal for me because right from day one, I was setting myself up for failure as an athlete. And coaching was my calling anyway, so it worked out well. But right from day one, I was making every mistake in the book that an athlete can make. And I've made those mistakes. And I've gone through that struggle and that agony and that sacrifice. And I've gone down the path that I didn't want to go down. And I've struggled with depression through that. I've struggled with a lot of mental health issues through that. And so my goal is to make sure that that doesn't happen to you. And the reason it's important to me to make sure that that doesn't happen to you is because the world of high performance sport is very, very broken. The world of high performance sport is very broken. And when I say that, what I mean is we live in such an ego-driven world. We live in such an ego-driven world where everybody's just trying to prove to everyone else how tough they are. Everyone's trying to prove to everyone else how much harder I work than you do. Everyone's losing sight of what they're actually training for. They're losing sight of the fact that they're actually trying to change their lives for the better through sport. They're losing sight of the fact that they're given a platform through sport that they can do good with. And if I can be the coach that affects that in millions of athletes around the world, creates a whole new level of sport performance that the world has access to, and in turn creates better, higher level people at that level, then that is going to be an immensely satisfying life for me. And that is going to be an immensely satisfying life for millions of athletes around the world. So if you're an athlete right now listening to this, my challenge for you is to not only find your vision, not only find your actual goals for your competitive career, but to find the why behind it, to find the reason that these goals are important. Because if you're able to put that together, if you're able to find the why and you're able to find the vision, now, whenever you fall off track, whenever you struggle, whenever you have that setback, instead of letting it throw you off for a month, you're going to be able to get right back on track, get right back to it, and in turn, see the success that you're looking for in your sport. So that is it. That is all for me. I appreciate you taking the time to be here. I appreciate you taking the time to tune in. If you are new to the podcast, make sure you subscribe on all the major podcast platforms and you follow me on social media for more updates, more content, and more athlete development work in order to help you, help your teammates, help your coaches, all create a better high performance sport world in the future. So thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to talking to you all again soon.